There's a lot more. I know a lot of individuals are at work today, as well as at the jobs. Wait a minute. Doesn't look like I'm on. Okay. I know a lot of people are at work or at the jobs, but I felt it necessary for me to state some obvious lawful facts, and not just facts. They're lawful facts. The truth cannot be disputed or debated. It just is what it is, right? I had a Moorish American national contact me in regards to an attorney general, or a presumption that an attorney general made an accusation or made stated an opinion when that was false information appearing to be real. Islam? I was like, in Moors, we need to understand that we need to discern truth with myth, hearsay, or propaganda. I'm going to say that again. Propaganda. Does anybody know what propaganda means? I'm going to look it up, okay? Because there's a lot of YouTube channels out there. I will never name the individuals I'm speaking about because they can't even name themselves to validate or substantiate what it is that they're pushing on their social platforms. And Moors, I hold you specifically accountable for watching videos from individuals who are at a legal disability to even be heard. Islam? So an accusation was lodged over 3 months ago as it relates to what a so-called governor of a corporation, which is a CEO of a for-profit corporation, has stated as it relates to Moorish American nationals and the Moorish National Republic federal government. Islam? If everybody operating not in their proper person, at a legal disability, are making comments on social media, it is the responsibility of every Moorish American national to correct and rebut those claims with truth, with facts, with law. Islam? I'm going to read something. I don't even know if I want to do that. I'm going to find what I have. I'm not going to give this individual a voice on my platform. I'm not going to give anybody a voice on my platform who are at a legal disability to speak lawfully, which is why they won't even on their public platforms state for the record who they are. They won't even show you their face. They won't even tell you their name, status, or rank in society. They won't tell you this, but they'll sit here and make a video that Moors you will watch. And then call me on my platform or on the consulate phone number, the Moorish American consulate, as the Supreme Judiciary. You're going to call me on my phone and say, well, what's this? They had a nerve to say this. But in actuality, they never even said it. Right? It's propaganda pushed by people at a legal disability, because there's fear going around the Moroccan Empire by those immigrants that came here to do business, and they forgot their status as it relates to this continent. If you do not have a nationality, and if you are a United States citizen, you are at a legal disability to make any claim as it relates to property here at Morocco. There's only 2 statuses here, technically 3. Moors, Moorish subjects, and foreign nationals who have treaty relations with the Moroccan Empire and the Moroccan people, the sovereigns, which I am an heir of. And every other Moorish American national who's on this platform right now. Islam? So there was some comments as to needing recognition, needing validation, You validate who you are, Moors. You validate your government. Your government, a government is of the people. The people established that, and the only people that can establish that here at Morocco are Moors who can establish government here. Everybody else is a corporation doing business here, sanctioned by the treaties and the constitutions between parties. Are you a party? Are you a signed individual? So the individual who wrote this, who did a YouTube channel, who will not name herself or who she is or who she represents, but Moors all over the continent want to read her documents and tell me that what she's saying to validate it. I'm not validating anybody with a legal disability, and they know that they have a legal disability because they won't even identify themselves on their own platforms as to who they are. An affidavit of allodial secured land property, repossession, written statement, notice of public records, status correction. Moors, your property claims supersede any and everybody else, including those who have a legal disability to even be party to a claim. So that's why when we send out our writ of acceptances and executions by the Moorish American Consular Court pursuant to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1836, that is a part of the United States statutes, i.e. automatically a part of every so-called state statutes, as part of the municipal code and the municipal law, and it supersedes any state regs. Automatic. Every class that I hold, I show you validation as to what I'm saying. I'm not going to use anything what somebody says on their platform, as well as some administrative process that they're all required to adhere to. Putting things in the record, it is their responsibility lawfully to do it. When you come down there and you're a proper person to put anything on the record, they have a duty per the Constitution to record it. They cannot not record it. And if they try to push that, they can't accept your nationality identification cards, or they can't accept your allodial affidavit of fact, you need to be leaning them because they're in violation of the law. Plain and simple, Moors. You have to recognize we are stepping back into the constitutional fold of government. We left it. For what? I have no idea. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that an affidavit or a letter was misconstrued as to coming from the Attorney General of the so-called corporation styled as Texas to state that something was in controversy. The Moorish National Republic federal government is not in controversy, and we need no acknowledgement from anyone. We are the law. We are the people. The Moorish American nationals dictate how commerce is to commence here on our land. And we have treaties and we have constitutions that solidify that claim. Islam? So Moors, when you go into any of the tribunals, these unlawful venues by individuals at a legal disability to act. I did that class on purpose. Watch it. I'm not doing this for my health. I'm doing this to help us all operate in honor and nobility on our lands as it relates to commerce here. Now, they're going to always put paperwork out there. You should be able to refute it automatically. And if anybody sit here and makes an opinion that the Moorish National Republic federal government, the people, the Moorish American nationals, are some type of non-lawful organization, which it's not, it is your responsibility to check them because they're warring against you and me. And if they make that attack to you, they make that attack automatically to me because we are one and the same. There's no schisms here. I'm for you, you're for me, automatically. The law supports my claim. If you need assistance from me, it is my responsibility to help you and vice versa, pursuant to the Holy Circle 7 Quran, Article 25. I'm never going to turn any Moorish American national away, nor shall I be by you. So if you contact me or you contact any of these other Moorish American consular courts that's operating at Morocco, which is their lawful authority to do, support. But also know what you're talking about, Morris, because the document specified. In regards to the documents presented for recording in the Office of Public Recordings of Fort Bend County. Okay, Fort Bend County is a for-profit corporation operating under the jurisdiction of the so-called Texas Corporation. Automatically, that's what they do. That's what they are. All subject to you, Moorish American nationals, pursuant to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which supersedes the Constitution for the United States of America. And Moors, overstand, you are absolutely not held to that Constitution. They are held to that Constitution. You are held to the bilateral agreement, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, where it says Article 20 and 21, how disputes are to be handled. And because of the 1956 Public Statute at Law 856, the United States relinquished jurisdiction as it relates to consular courts for them. So they don't have no say in actions enforced or commanded by the Moorish American consular courts. They can't even be a party because they relinquish jurisdiction, extraterritorial and consular court jurisdictions here at Morocco. So all actions from the Moorish American consular courts all around the empire are ex parte actions, meaning we're not considering you as a party, one, because you're at a legal disability to even present any argument. And why is that? Why? Expatriation talks about why that is a fact at law. This is why. Because by naturalizing to become a so-called United States citizens, which does not exist in law, you became a legal, you changed your lawful status as a national or a foreigner to a legal disability under a jurisdiction that doesn't even exist. There's no such thing as a United States citizen, y'all. The 14th Amendment was never ratified, and nothing outside of that constitutional agreement that was between the sovereigns of the land, which was the Moors, which is the Moors, and them, the Caucasians who represent the united so-called colonies of Great Britain. That was what that agreement was. Established in 1791. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship supersedes that. It's priority. It is the supreme laws of the land between Moors and between the so-called United States citizens and the property of those things that are protected by the United States citizens. Do you understand what I'm saying? To claim to be a United States citizen is to claim to be a resident. To be a resident of the United States is to be property held within that trust. But the reality is, do they have a lawful trust? No, because they have a legal disability to actually establish one. Because to have a legal status is to be in your proper person. And if you're not in your proper person, you have absolutely no legal status to make any claims here at Morocco. That's why all of our actions are ex parte. So, if every corporation is operating, every one of them, under the Moroccan Empire, they're subject to the treaty, they're subject to whatever constitution or treaties that bilateral agreements, conventions between the two parties, a signatory, an affirm, a ratification, and if it's codified in the United States Public Statutes at Large is a part of the municipal code of every so-called corporation subject under that United States government, right? That's every state. That's every last one of the states. So it doesn't matter what fraudulent documents they send you. It doesn't matter how they use threat, duress, and coercion to get you to autograph or sign documents. You signed them under threat, duress, and coercion. The fact that you're signing them under threat, duress, and coercion is because if the law was on the table, you wouldn't be signing that document, would you? If your life was not on the table, you wouldn't be signing that document, now would you? Which makes it null and void at law. At law, Morris. So, until they get into alignment, and so you don't get unlawfully kidnapped, Do what you got to do, Moors, but do the work. And don't sit here and be jumping on platforms that people that people send you, share to you, and the person that's on that platform won't even state the realities and the truths of the matter. And I want to go into detail as to what it is that I'm talking about and who it is that I'm talking about. But I give no weight to people who are at a legal disability. And they know they're at a legal disability because they won't even show you their face and who they represent. Will they? So the Attorney General of the so-called state of Texas never made that claim. Never made that claim. Can't find it in the records, can't find it on the website. And if he did, it is his responsibility to rebut what I just said. Because there is nothing out there that substantiates what this individual is propagating on her social platform. They're lies. And why is she promoting those lies? To get you Moors at a disadvantage, as well as to get Caucasians at a disadvantage so they can think or presume that these titles that Moors are claiming for the land are frivolous. Your title supersede every title pursuant to Title 25, subsection 194, codified in the public statutes at large at 4 Stat 733. And I'm going to read you section 22, which states the following. As soon as my computer boots up, now all of a sudden I'm on timeout. I'm on timeout, y'all. My computer timed me out. Again, Title 25, subsection 194 states under, I got it right here, so y'all ain't stopping nothing. It's right in front of me somewhere. Let me go find it. Give me a second. I got it here. And it's posted, again, for all people who are, all Moorish American nationals that are part of the Consul training classes that we have on Tuesdays. Always recognize you have a direct link to the actual lawful documents that substantiates everything that I'm saying. You absolutely have that in your arsenal. And public statutes for, public law 4 Stat 733 talks about this. I'm going to tell you exactly what it says. The computer done shut me down, so I'm going to go to my handy dandy notice of removal and acceptance of removal and execution of decree. Where is it at? Give me 1 second, y'all. It wants to hide from me. Public statutes at large of the United States. Public statute 4 Stat 733, section 22. There's a multitude of information in there. You have to read it. Codified under Title 25, United States Code, subsection 194. In trials about the property, burden of proof to rest on the white persons. And we got to clarify what a white person is because it's not a Caucasian. Islam law substantiates that claim. A white person is not a Caucasian person. A white person is the status of foreign nationals who are naturalized here at Morocco. Okay? That is people who come from different nations to come and do business in international trade. They come over here and they get naturalized through commercial agreements. I'm not even going to use naturalization. I'm going to use, because we don't have any practices as it relates to naturalization. You either are a Moorish subject or you're a foreign from another nation. You're either one of those three, Moors. There's no such thing as United States citizens at law. Okay? I'm gonna say that for the record. Okay? So under 4 Stat 733, section 22, where it talks about trials about the property, burden of proof to rest on the white person, which is a status, which is individuals who come here to do commercial trade from other nations. You, as an Indian, you know what an Indian means. It means people who inhabit North America. Look it up, y'all. They're talking about you Moors. Indians are you Moors lawfully because they're talking about the inhabitants of North America. Okay? And be it further enacted in section 22 that in all trials about the right of property in which an Indian, Moors, may be a party on one side and a white person on the other, the proof of burden shall rest upon the white person whenever the Indian shall make out a presumption of title in himself from the fact of previous possessions or ownership. What did I just say? What I said was, your claim supersedes anybody else's claim, and that's because you're the sovereign of the land, automatically. And they have to have the burden of proof, meaning they would have to have some lawful document that validates and substantiates they have the authority to be on that land, and deeds do not count. A deed is not title. A deed has been established by what? Someone with a legal disability. Am I correct? Right. So if you have a legal disability and you have a so-called claim through a so-called deed issued by a county, they can't even issue deeds, y'all. All they can do is record them, but they're issuing deeds. How's that possible? A deed goes from one owner to another owner. Transfer of title, transfer of property. So it's between a person who originally owned the land to a person that they're so-called deeding it to, right? How's the county involved in that action? They're not involved in that action. They're auctioning up so-called abandoned land. So-called. But they don't have no extraterritorial jurisdiction here because it's been relinquished. So how are they claiming land? And how are they claiming interest? And how are they a party to anything at their legal disability? They cannot do any of those things. Moors, you have to know what you're talking about and say what it is that you are. You're a Moor, you're claiming title, and none of these so-called citizens of the United States who have legal disabilities to even be heard in courts that don't have the authority to even execute any commands or orders. Only the Moorish American Consular Court can give an order, decree, or a command to anyone and everyone, and all those actions are going to be ex parte unless it's between Moor and Moor, or Moor and Moor subject, or Moor and national of another nation per the treaty between those two parties. I think I came on here and said what I needed to say because I was angered. I'm going to honestly tell you, because when y'all see information, you're not validating and substantiating that. And especially if you're on the platform by an individual who won't even say who she is, where she come from, what her status is, or even show you her likeness, she's propagating to you. You shouldn't even be giving her the light of day. You should actually be finding her, leaning her, and getting her deported off the land, because 9 times out of 10, she's here with a legal disability, and she's warring against the state and the government, and that is you, and that is me, Moors, no one else. Everybody else is here under commercial agreement, and many of them are in violation of those commercial agreements, and her platform validates that dishonesty. Because all of those so-called Moors that are on that platform, or not Moors, I'm sorry, Moor subjects that are on that platform are further validating the fraud. So it's our responsibility to come together, stop having our little disagreements, and do what we need to do as it relates to our interests, our land, and our estates. Islam? I just gave you fire. Everybody here pursuant to the law are Moorish subjects if they don't, 1, have a nationality, or 2, have claimed it. But if they're not claiming that status as a Moorish ipso jure subject, which is meaning at law, you're automatically at law a Moorish subject, automatically at law a Moorish subject if you do not have a nationality. And to be a citizen of the United States means your property within their trust, which is not a valid trust because it is not authorized, one, by the nationals, as well as it is processed and completed by an individual who lacked the status to act upon any trust. That's why they have a legal disability. So every claim that you put in there, and the counties don't want to record these documents because they know they are not 1, jurisdictional, 2, an actual court of law, and 3, they're a corporation styled here to escheat your land, and you haven't put them on notice. You haven't liened them. That's why when you put your notices of removals to the Moorish American Consular Court, there's 4 things you must do prior to getting accepted to be moved. The first thing is you need to put your nationality documents on the record. That's the first thing you need to do. That is your declaration and proclamation to their lack of jurisdiction automatically, because when they create and process their claims, when they put their so-called complaints in that system, they're putting you down as a presumed 14th Amendment citizen, and they're calling you black, Negro, colored, and they're saying you have a name as opposed to your appellation, which is fraud in the beginning. Every freaking claim that they put in their system as it relates to you, Moors, is a fraud. And anything that starts in fraud ends in fraud. And they're at a legal disability to proceed, but they're giving you the presumption that they have authority. Why? Because they're using terroristic threats, terroristic attacks to get you to submit to a jurisdiction they don't have and they never had over you, Moors. Never had it. Never had it. Never had it. So the first thing you're supposed to file in the record is a copy of your nationality documents pursuant to what? What was the law? Pursuant to 15 stat 223? I think it's 15 stat 223. You have the right, and it's the remedy for presuming that you are a United States citizen and never rebutting that by answering through your plea, which is your rebuttal to their so-called fictitious and frivolous claim that you are a black person. Automatically fraud, because you stated for the record to that so-called administrator, i.e. judge of that particular organization, who knows he does not have a jurisdiction to challenge you, but yet he does it in dishonor to his oath and his affirmation as a so-called judge of a so-called office. Because who do they pledge their allegiance to? They pledge their allegiance to, for that particular office that they are charged with, to the Constitution. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship supersedes the Constitution. So they're already owed their allegiance and oath and affirmation to you, which is why when they break it, you can lien them. And they have a legal capacity, meaning because they are claiming to be a 14th Amendment through that United States so-called citizenship, they're automatically lienable. They're outside nationality through a so-called claim. Islam protege. Is it protege? Islam protege. They don't have they're at a legal disability. They cannot proceed. And if you watch the class, what is a plea to the court? An answer, a rebuttal to their fictitious and fraudulent claim that they put in. And guess who put that in first? The policy enforcer. And what jurisdiction, what are they under? They're under Interpol. Interpol. Putting all these fraudulent claims in. Claiming you are property under the 14th Amendment of the United States of America. You were neither one of those things, and that's why they don't want to take your nationality identification card, because you supersede anything that claims against you. And they can't be a claimant. They can't be a litigant. They can't be anything. They can't lodge a complaint against you at their legal disability, which is why they have you in their fraudulent courts. And you're making those special and restricted appearances because of their warring against the law. They're warring against the law. They're warring against the government by acting as if they can go outside of the law. They can't. They're not allowed. International law, as well as the law within this jurisdiction, the Northwest continent, supports you. So put your claims in. But before you can put your notices of removals in, make sure you've done your nationality documentations, and make sure your nationality documents, you didn't neutralize your authority by doing it in all lowercase red lettering. Redo it and send it back to the person that did it wrong to begin with, because they had a legal and lawful responsibility not to do that to you. But you had a lawful and legal responsibility to know the difference between legal and lawful, as well as, which are two, they're both the same. Legal is according to law. So are these so-called tribunals legal? No, they're unlawful, and they're illegal, because they're not according to the law, and they're doing things that are forbidden by law. Look at the dictionary. Look at the meaning of that word. Learn etymology. The etymological brackets in the dictionary. The etymological brackets in the dictionary is the true meaning of that word. Those listed definitions under 1 through 4 are the connotative linguistical presumptions of what those words means. But the etymological brackets is the true meaning of that word. You need to know what you're talking about, so you don't come off as being incompetent or a child at law, which is where everybody who identifies as a 14th Amendment citizen is residing in so-called states as property. That's what they're saying. Oh, you're a United States citizen pursuant to the 14th Amendment, but you're residing under the so-called state as a thing. You're in their jurisdiction as a thing, a resident. They're telling you in your face. Tell them the truth. No, that I'm not. And if you want to talk to me, let's talk. But I got to know who you are, and I got to know who you represent. And that's where we got to start talking about status. Who are you? But again, if everybody who doesn't have a nationality, if everybody who doesn't have a foreign nationality or a Moorish American national, and who are subject so-called to the United States citizenry because of their own admission and the presumptions on the record, they're more subject ipso jure automatically underneath you. And they can't put a claim against a national lawfully. That's why every action is a ex parte action. Automatically, Morse. So we're in solidarity. All Moors are in solidarity. I unify with all Moors. But when you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you you're wrong. And I would hope you to say the same thing to me. If I misspeak, tell me I'm wrong. That's what our job is to one another. You being my brother and sisters, and me being yours. That's the only reason why I came on this platform, to dispel a certain individual who has a platform, who's lying to you, and I didn't even have to watch the video for 2 seconds and I saw the lie, because I validated and substantiated. They are required to file your documents. Required by law. Required. And you need to make sure they put it in as you title that document. So you're going to have to call down there. You're going to have to get them to realize you have to file this document pursuant to the law. And you're not even supposed to be charging to file these documents. You shouldn't be charged to file these documents. They are rebuttals to their presumptions. And you're only making those special or restricted appearances to put these documents on the record to substantiate your plea. You have to put a plea in, an answer, or they're going to presume you're a 14th Amendment. They got jurisdiction and adjudicate such, and then send their so-called highwaymen, their agents out to harass you, which is what they do every single day. So it is our responsibility as Moors to stop them from doing this nonsense, to stop them from pulling our brothers and sisters off on the roads when they are traveling, and it's their constitutional and international rights as well as their treaty rights to do so. And you cannot put any sanctions on anybody here with your legal disabilities as Moor subjects. You're Moor subjects here at Morocco trying to exert power and supremacy over individuals who have. And I'm going to end this broadcast because somebody just tried to call me on this platform. So I'm going to end at that. So Moors, get studied up. Join classes for your own survival. Because until we get them to do what they're supposed to do lawfully, we have to lean them. We have to put notices of removals to stop them from doing it. And ultimately, we're going to have to sanction them for treason and for fraud, which is in process right now. Islam, I love you. I love you. I love all Moor subjects. But you got to get in alignment with law. And you got to get in alignment with truth. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice so we can all live in harmony. Islam, peace and love, people. Pax Setamor. Sharon Tracy Gale Bay, Moorish American National of the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, Northeast of Mexam Territories and Dominions, the Moorish American Consular Court, and the Moorish American Consulate Supreme Judiciary. Peace and love.